Joining me now is the editor of The Firewall, David Hawkins. He comes to us every week to break down some of the big stories in Washington. Last week, we spent a lot of time talking about Bill Barr. He was up on Capitol Hill. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about Bill Barr again a lot this week.
Because he's not on Capitol Hill, and neither is the unredacted version of the Mueller report. Unredacted means without any of the blacked out material that Congress wants to see. Mr. Barr was supposed to turn that over by Monday morning. He didn't. Now the Democratic House wants to hold Bill Barr in contempt. The first step for that is a meeting by the Judiciary Committee, probably the most polarized and partisan committee in a very polarized and partisan Congress. They'll vote along party lines to hold him in contempt. Then they'll send the matter to the entire House. They'll vote along party lines to hold him in contempt. And then what will happen? Not much.
Yeah. So put us in some perspective on this because, my phone went off with those alerts saying that this vote was going to happen to hold Barr in contempt. What does that really mean?
So it sounds like a big deal, and it is symbolically a big deal. And certainly the Democrats who run the House are going to make it a big deal. But less than a decade ago, the Republicans ran the House. There was a Democratic Attorney General named Eric Holder working for Barack Obama, and they held him in contempt. It was over a gun-running investigation called Fast and Furious that I can't even remember the details of, to be honest. They held him in contempt. Nothing happened then either. What is supposed to happen is that a contempt citation is turned over to the chief federal prosecutor in Washington. Since there's no Capitol Police Force with a jail, there's no law enforcement mechanism for doing this. But the chief law enforcement officer, the chief federal prosecutor in Washington, is an appointee or works for the Attorney General. So just as that top federal prosecutor in D.C. didn't go after Eric Holder in the last decade, neither is the Republican chief federal prosecutor going to go after Bill Barr. And most importantly, the documents that the House says they want are never going to be turned over.
So this doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see a perp walk with Bill Barr coming out of the Department of Justice anytime soon.
Nope, no perp walk.
All right. David, thank you so much for that perspective. For more stories like these, you can sign up for David's newsletter at thefirewall.us.